快就坐，我们的研讨会就马上开始了哈，请大家还是关闭手机。Now, please welcome our panel host, Mr. Liao Huqiu, and our participants. So, Mr. Liao, please. The panel members join us today are Ron Wagner from BEUT University, Germany. Mr. Philip Kendall from Canada, Germany. And Mr. Richard Brown from OCF. And Mr. Charlie Collins from Disney. And both Alex and Alex from Facebook. Okay, thank you. 那接下来的时间呢，我们就交给赵老师。Okay.
I'd like to use some panel first. 我先简单用中文介绍一下我们这个研讨会的形式。每位嘉宾，这几位老师和我们老师，会简单介绍自己。另外，我们每个老师会有将近10分钟的时间，探讨一下我们的话题。我们的话题是 What next? Enjoy it. Okay, let's begin. First, very glad to here to host this panel. I'm Leo from Droidcon investment company, and today we have about 1 hour to talk about what new enjoy, what next enjoy. First of all, I'd like to invite everyone here to introduce themselves.
Yeah, my name is Wagner. And after reading your book with Android, I really liked it. I joined development also quite early. I'm a credit professor for geoinformatics, GIT, and navigation in Berlin. I'm having 2 parts. One was much more about these location-based things, which was of course mobile, something possible. And the second part which relates much more with maybe to say today IoT things, communication, NFC. This is something that I also like.
My name is Philip Kendall. I'm VP of Engineering at Canada, being responsible for all of our automotive engineering. So that is across the 3 major sites which we have, which is in Romania, in Silicon Valley, and here in China. And we do a lot of Android engineering, both embedded in the car as well as on smartphones.
I'm Richard Brown, and in addition to being part of the OCF, I'm VP of Marketing for the Via Technologies Inc. And over the last few years, we've started to do quite a lot of embedded system design using Android.
I'm Charlie Collins, Senior Technology Manager at Disney. And as you guys saw there, we work on a lot of Android apps. We're also very interested in things coming up with relating to auto, relating to embedded things, so it's a very timely topic for that. I work mainly out of Florida and New York and Seattle. We have sites in those various areas, so I travel between those. And I'm focused on both types of teams right now. So when I say both iOS and Android, that's a little bit of the background and why I was talking about sharing. So.
My name is Alex Surov. I'm an engineering manager at Facebook. I've been working on Android for about 4 years, various Facebook Android apps, Facebook App Messenger, primarily focusing on performance, and in recent years primarily focusing on making sure the apps work really well on low-end devices and that networks.
My name is Alex Petrescu. I'm a software engineer on the Android emerging markets team with Alex Surov. I've been at Facebook for about 3 years working on the main Facebook for Android application. Working on a lot of performance, data usage, and then understanding, kind of like Alex said, the issues in emerging markets, and then rebuilding our applications in order to better handle that. I've worked in the past few years specifically on making sure Newsfeed works well in emerging markets.
Great. Thanks everyone for being here. Google has just released Android 7 and also released new phone. And also, Grado has released 3.2. Yeah, I guess probably last week or last month. I don't remember. About me, Android has developed very, very fast. We don't know what will happen tomorrow, next year. Yeah, so we'd like to have a discussion about what Android will be, what is next in Android. First of all, I'd like to one number to talk about it.
Well, of course, I'm not from Google, so that's why I cannot really say. You can maybe say something like a wish list or expectations, and as we will see. But the first expectation was that differences from a customer point of view or from a user point of view between 5, 6, and 7 were not much different. I guess even a lot of other customers would not even recognize which Android system or Android API they're currently having. We had just a talk from Ed Parsons at the WebCamp in Berlin, and he explained the new Geo API with a raw data approach. And that was something which made a much deeper access to GPS or GNSS. So on the one hand side, there was a certain development that was just released, these kind of raw data things, but you need to be a good expert to understand this raw data and to use it. But there are some possibilities. Another field, what I think is something like the writing capabilities, as I said. A lot of people are still using more or less a pen and paper. So we are on an Android conference and you're still using it for taking notes, like my colleague or the chair. You're having, let's say, quick notes, because it's still much more reacting, and I see it from my students. So it's not yet that we can use Android tablets really by following or by learning. It's something where paper is still better. But I feel what I'm seeing, but not really progressing in a way which is so successfully. On one side is peer-to-peer communication. So direct Wi-Fi, for instance, is something which works with some of the devices already quite good. So if you're taking a picture and you just want to give it to your next, this is something which was introduced with Android Beam, which is relatively good, but also is NFC relatively unknown. So on the one hand side, I was very surprised that this feature could be practically very good. It's so unknown. So I had a look at Android Beam, by the way, and maybe you can ask a question. Who knows of your Android Beam?
Enjoy the things that you say, enjoy the things.
And this was introduced with Android 4.0, 4.1 Bluetooth. So it's almost on your devices, very powerful, but it's strange why these kind of things are not being used. Another thing is a bit the good Wi-Fi communication is really something which is very good connected or very close connected to the drivers, and only Samsung device or Samsung really made it quite good. It's not for us available. So the peer-to-peer communication is still something I would like to wish, and I see that it's needed to do more IoT.
I think we'll develop very fast in a few years. Yeah, that's really a very great direction. Yeah. And what do you think?
So what I'm very passionate about right now is like what Google released, like with their Project Tango, to have like a real world orientation, to give you like a sense of allowing you to do indoor navigation capabilities, but really like locating you in the space, telling you what's around. So I think this will be like, once you introduce this kind of like LiDAR scanners on the phone, this will be like a massive change of having the ability to really sense your surrounding better. So I think this is something I definitely see in the next 2 or 3 years coming to like mainstream phones, because right now it's very experimental. You can get like the hack phone, and this is, by the way, really cool device. So all of you like having a nice like hacking project on the side, you should definitely get your hands on one of those devices and just play with it. So I think that's like one thing that I'm looking for, like to come in one of the next mainstream Android versions and like mainstream Android phones. We'll just see the first ones introduced here. So I think this is really cool. And the second thing, which I'm also really looking forward to, is like unification across different device classes, right? So we have now Android phones, tablets, watches, but I think in the future also you can see that they're bringing like Android to the Chromebooks. So I think this basically just as a developer gives you the chance to write, I mean, similar to what you've shared was like sharing it with iOS, which is cool, but also like sharing across different device classes. I think this will go much further, right? Like cars will have embedded Android applications, television sets will have Android, so I think just kind of like unifying the technology across all the devices that you write it once. I mean, the old Java vision basically, write it once and run it everywhere, right? So I think this is another thing that I'm looking forward with the next Android versions to be pushed even more.
Great news. And Android, we don't know the specific release time, I think, but we can looking for that. Richard, so you can speak Chinese, right? Okay, so if you want, you can use Chinese to share your opinion.
OK， 实际上我觉得 Android 的最大的问题是说，还是以手机跟那个平板电脑为主。那实际上我们这边为什么要做很多不同的，比如说 signing 或者 automation？ 那我们看有这个 Android 的需求，可是问题说没有什么support，是变成说你都要自己要做自己的靠，所以我觉得说 Intel 不是 Google 的一个很大的挑战，说万一他们要把那个 Android 就是比较普遍化的话，他要看怎么跟其他的厂商和 studio 做，不是手机的厂商而已。那像你看深圳也有很多家就是做 Android 的手机，可是问题说没有 support 不奉献不是这么好。那可是这是一个事实。所以我觉得说 ，Google 怎么跟那种公司开始合作，我觉得这个他们要好好考虑。
Richard is talking about how to work cooperate with all the manufacturers, especially in China. In Shenzhen, there are a lot of manufacturers. In the past few years, there are a lot of brands, for example, Xiaomi, Huawei, all the smartphones. This kind of mobile device manufacturer, they build their system based on Android system. But probably some good news, but also something to build a uniform platform with that.
I'm going to change spots, but I'm follow Richard all the time. Very impressive. So a couple of things that I think you guys touched on there. I think for the future of Android, as we look down the road, 2020, things like that, I think we're kind of just scratching the surface right now with the use of sensors, with the use of indoor location like Project Tango. I actually had one of those test devices and it was really, really neat to use that. And I think things like activity detection that we're doing basic work with now with fitness trackers and things like that, I think we'll be able to get a lot better at that. I actually worked at a startup before Android had activity detection kind of built into it, where we tried to detect when you were skiing or snowboarding or on a lift or running and things like that. I think all of those things are going to get a lot better in terms of Android itself and the sensors. And then we'll be able to build a lot of experiences around those that fall into kind of where your location is inside of the building. All of that kind of stuff, I think we are just scratching the surface in those areas. It's going to be amazing. I also think it's really interesting what Google's doing now with like the Pixel and trying to control the ecosystem maybe a little bit more there that you mentioned. They're going a little bit of the opposite direction from where they went with things like the Nexus phones and so on, where they let that be unlocked and they gave that away kind of in terms of the developer community. They're trying to control it a little bit more now, and I think that's interesting that they are on several different fronts trying to deal with updates to software. So there's Google Play Services. There's also some new libraries that they're working on where they can do updates remotely. They don't actually have to get the carriers to kind of go along with them. And I think, I'm not sure how that experiment, I will call it experiment, will play out with something like a Pixel, but I think it's really interesting that they're trying to deal with the fragmentation issues. And I hate to even use the F word because I don't think it's as big a deal as people make it out to be all the time. You guys might disagree with me when I can here. But Google's done a really good job with making things backwards compatible and having the compat-lib and a lot of support like that. So there are tweaks to different carriers. But I just think that whole Pixel portion there is going to be very interesting, and I'm not sure how that will play out.
I'll mention a couple of things. Like one that I'm particularly excited about is the virtual reality and the around the CAT sats and what it's going to do for the way they consume and create data. I think this is a very interesting area, and we're just kind of scratching the surface of what's possible
still only something like, I don't know, 30% of the population, the world's population has. Like, I think 50% of the world's phones are still like flip phones and things like that. So there's still so much incredible room to grow in the future. And then once you have, Android is the world's platform. There's a lot of iOS devices, but in terms of a platform that most people use in the world, Android is kind of where it's at. So I think that's kind of the exciting thing, getting more and more people on one platform. It's allowed what Windows development allowed to do, having this one platform that was global, like any developer anywhere would develop it for it and it would work anywhere else. So second of all, like now everyone has these smart computers in their pocket, and software development is getting easier than ever for these devices. So you don't need a huge company to make an application for 8 billion people or 100 million people. A small software company, 3, 4, 5 people, a group, can make an application for their city to solve a problem for their local town, for their local region. Something that like a big company might not necessarily focus on. A small organization cannot start focusing on real people problems in that area. So that's another great thing I'm excited about. I talk a lot, but one last thing. I think Google is definitely changing how things are happening. It's on their platform. The controls on developers are becoming a lot tighter because they want to focus on performance. So I think that's something very, very important that they're really focusing on, and they have lots of talks on YouTube and lots of articles and things like that to make sure that since these apps can run on so many different types of devices, the really low end and the really high end, you want to make sure you got good performance. So they're spending a lot of time and a lot of effort to try to make sure everyone that's developing new apps is focusing on performance and not necessarily just on making it work by connecting to the internet and things like that.
If I can just jump in there, I think that's exactly right. I was in the importance of kind of Android and the importance of everybody having a computer now in their pocket can't be kind of overstated, I don't think. I was actually in Africa earlier this year, and I went to the Masai Mara to kind of go on a game drive to see animals, and I had a Maasai guide, so he has the whole, the tribal outfit and everything on, and I wasn't sure how he was going to find the animals, so we went out into the Maasai, and he got out his Android phone, and he was calling the other guides to figure out. I was amazed by that, so I took a picture of him, with all his garb and everything in Africa. It's really, truly something we can't overstate, like how important that is that everybody now has a computer in their pocket.
截止到目前为止，越来越多的人在用这个设备，这是一个很好的迹象。在几年之前只是无法想象，但我们也面临一些新的可能，比如说，如果说这个手里面，它第一个这个系统目前不再是一个 open source，这方面我们想就可以去探讨一下。Most of us have more than one device, and also you mentioned about Google released and try to control about its ecosystem. So what do you think about the Google open source Android project? Then try to control, try to do this kind of interaction.
I think the AOSP project, that's still kind of ongoing, and they still have a commitment to that, and that's absolutely still there. And then they are trying to do things. I know there's a little resistance when they even pulled some of their apps out a few years ago when they no longer shipped in ASOP. They didn't have things like their mail client or so on any of these Google apps. There were some people that were kind of upset with that, but I think people are understanding now that they're trying to control that ecosystem a little bit more. They're focusing on quality, they're focusing on performance, they're focusing on security. So I think you still have those two layers, and I don't think the commitment to the core open source goes away at all. So I think that we're in good shape there. I'm not sure, for me, I'm not sure kind of how many people will go to a Google store. They're talking about building physical stores now too. I think I've heard a couple of articles about that. How many people would actually go to a Google store and buy a phone that doesn't have, I don't think, the same brand identity right now as Apple has. So that's why I say I'm not how that will work. But I thought that we're trying to control it a little bit more in terms of performance and security. Absolutely.
Well, I have also a different view, more than economic view. As they said, the real winners from the Android 1.0 mobile 1.0 age was the hardware. So Samsung is the real winner, where Google is still a technical lead, but who makes money? Who makes money? Google makes a lot of money on the website, still, on the search engine. This is where I think from reading newspapers, 90% of the revenue comes from.
I think it's a nice problem to have to be Google economically. I wouldn't mind that. I think Facebook is doing just fine by not doing hardware yet. So I think you guys are not. You don't look like you're suffering too much for that. So I think like with mobile advertising is a pretty good revenue source. So I think it's a really nice problem to have. I wish I would have to deal with that as well, to like see how we spend like Google's profits one day. So I think that's good. But apart from that, I think one thing with regards to the openness of Google, one thing that few people realize is that right now already like more than 50% of the Android devices are non-Google Android devices, right? I mean, all the devices which we have here in China are basically Android derivatives, right? They're based on the Android open source project, but they're not Google Android. They don't have a Play Store on them. And this trend is continuing, right? I mean, if you have like tons of Android devices in your cars, right? So for example, a partner that we work with, General Motors, they use Android on their vehicles, and this is not like the Google version of Android, right? So I think this has a good and a bad thing. It has like the bad side is like standardization, like you were like alluding to, like fragmentation, which is a problem on the one side, but the other side also just naturally forces Google to stay open. Because even if they would close the ecosystem and like just like change the APIs in a way on their version and not open source it anymore, then they would immediately lose like 50% of the market that they couldn't target anymore, because the developers would have to basically fork their code for the Google and the non-Google Android version. Right now it's still very uniform. So that's why I think that unification in the Android ecosystem will remain there, because it should stay a standard. So I think just like Google and the other companies are very, from what I can see, are very committed to keep it open. And I think it's great for Google that they do a flagship device, because I think like a similar way that like Apple does it, right? I mean, you see that when Apple introduces a feature, when they bring like a fingerprint scanner on their phone, when they bring like dual lens cameras, then like very soon after that it comes to the mainstream, right? I agree with what you said. The interesting market is the billions of people that don't buy a $600 phone. But what you do is like by bringing these flagship phones out there, this trickles down in like 3-4 years to this cheap mainstream phone. Right? I mean, what you say right now, the cheapest $30 phone which you can buy has like a dual core processor, it has a camera, it has a GPS in it. It has like, I mean, the interesting thing is like your $30 phone is equivalent to like $500,000 of equipment you could buy like 20 years ago, right? So I think the processing power is faster than what we sent like people to the moon, right? So the processing power, the sensors, the hardware is amazing. So that's why I think that with Google does this Pixel phone as their flagship of their vision of the future, I think it's very, very nice. And I think it doesn't mean that just because they put this closed flagship on top, I mean, a lot of that stuff will be like 2 or 3 years at the very low end. And I think this is like what I think is really interesting and to look at. If you're a developer, look at because like many times when you start a project, it takes you like 1-2 years until you have it really shipped. So oftentimes, even if you want to reach the mainstream, you can aim now for the more advanced stuff, and by the time that you're ready, basically you have the big market out there.
I'll speak English this time. I don't really have very much to add. What I think is from a developer's perspective, people need to look very closely at Amazon. And if you think about how Echo is starting to move and on voice. And I think always the danger is when you, for example, you try and do something like the Pixel, and then you in the end you become like Apple, which in some ways is very good, but then your innovation, I think there's a penalty to pay there, and you've got a very careful balance between working with other partners and what you do yourself, and I think that'll be a challenge for Google. So I think 2 companies to look at. One is Amazon. I also think Alibaba will be one company to look at very soon. What exactly are they going to do in terms of enabling services around their device, yet to be defined. And Microsoft as well. I would never underestimate Microsoft, and I look at the efforts they're making now businesses that they could also be somebody for.
Yeah, no, I totally agree too. The economic engine for Android is definitely an advertising platform. So I don't know what the margin is on their $700 Pixel or what have you, but yeah, they're trying definitely to stay in the game because that's what they do. That advertising platform is what they are. So completely agree with that.
Yeah, a little bit to add to that, because I think this question was mostly answered. But coming back to the original question about whether the openness of Android is still going to be around, I think absolutely. I mean, there's, yeah, sure, there could be some changes in terms of standardization, but this is actually a big part of the ecosystem. Even for Google itself, I mean, they benefit from that, and their network feedback is not primarily like HTTP. You know, the dagger is incorporated back into the Google stack. I mean, this is start reading by, other than Square in this case. I mean, and we do the same. I mean, some of the open source projects out there, like Fresco or React Native, like these big platforms, we benefit from people contributing. I don't see that part changing at all.
I don't really have anything to add. Everyone's answered that this. I'm not concerned. I think it's probably a good thing that Google has pulled its apps out and left the platform more generic. Like you mentioned, 50% of the apps now, of the phones or devices, no longer have like the Google services. So it's actually probably a better thing that their apps and things like that are not polluting the AOSP like code base and are not included on other things. It serves more as a platform for everyone else to develop on.
I have kind of a related question, if you don't mind if I jump in. I'm curious what the panel thinks about kind of messaging apps and how Google is handling that. Now with like Messenger and Allo and Duo and all kinds of things all over the phone, it seems like a complete mess. And I think that iMessage is very good. We do iMessage extensions and things like that on Google. I would love to see kind of some cross-platform messaging there, and I'm curious about the panel, because I think the future, like, as I watch younger people using phones and apps and things, they do almost everything inside of their messaging application. They link into other applications. Like everything is happening inside of there. So I would love to see some kind of open standard or cross-collaboration on that. I know there have been many efforts that sort of haven't succeeded. So I'm just curious what everybody thinks about that.
Well, being here in China is also very exciting with this feature thing. So, for the payment mechanism, I think in some parts really now China is really much ahead in the adoption of the site. This is something exactly what you said, the platform, the messaging that's so important now that we start to serve our things. And this is where some other colleagues which are at the end of the slide would learn a lot. On the other hand, I'm not sure if it's really very adaptable also in other countries, because there are payment mechanisms in the US which are already quite good. And for instance, like Europe, it is not accepted by society needs. I'm very skeptical, let's say, in the standardization part, because I was working in standardization also about 10 years when we were talking about this. I realized there is also an industrial standardization. If Google does something, it's a kind of standard by industry, but not because of committee. And I worked a long time, and there was the speech designed by committee, which was not positive, because there were so many thoughts not really related to each other. So I think like this way, like we said, could be also like Google kind of industrial, like Facebook is also in a way industrial standardization. It's also very, very fine. And balance, it's still a good business model to maintain this. It doesn't mean that it's more than an option.
But when you asked your question, it sounded like it's perfectly addressed to Facebook, because I think those guys do some cross-platform communication. So I think it does exist already, but I think what Roland also said, right? So one thing that we see more and more is exactly because of the issue of like that it takes a long time to design something by committee. In a lot of cases, like if you look at the original open protocols, like HTTP, email, and so on, right now there's no solid open protocol for like a message, right? There's like XMPP, but this kind of stuff is just like, I mean, it is okay for doing like some very basic stuff, but all the things that you expect now to run on top of a messaging protocol, like payments, which you mentioned, and many other things don't run well with these open protocols. So I think it is to some extent worrying that we don't have good open platforms, and in the open in the sense that I can like, not open that they have an API, but open that I can get the source code, that I can install the server on my side, right? I think one thing that we see, it especially around like Snowden and all of this kind of like privacy things, is in many cases I don't want to give my data to any platform. Right? I mean, just like, this is something that I think that there is no good open communication protocol which is like up to date. It's definitely worrisome, and I don't see anybody emerging in that space. But I think it will be like a huge opportunity, especially since our friends in the US have a new president, which is giving a big boost to like privacy applications that are great lately. So I have invested in one VPN company, and they've seen like 100% growth in signups since Trump won. So I'm one of the biggest like benefactors of Trump now, as it seems like. Also, the euro to the US dollar has lost, and I got my salary in euros. So I like Trump very much because of that, not as a president. But. So I think this is like kind of like the standardization message app. That's definitely with a focus on privacy and open protocols. Could be a huge opportunity that I would like to see, but I don't see anybody gaining any traction in that space right now.
I know these guys have a hugely successful kind of messaging platform right now, but what I meant was more of kind of an open or interoperable sort of standard, and I really don't know much about it if things are going that direction. But what I kind of see is all the big companies trying to dominate that on their own and not really worrying so much about interoperability.
A lot of stuff again, harping at the end, but I think the main point I'd like to make in terms of why there's not an open one is kind of what you mentioned, that in order for something to be open and interoperable, it needs to be kind of generic, right? It needs to have a limited set of features, and every other platform needs to support every single feature, but that really limits bigger companies and our smaller companies for really advancing and pushing forward and wanting to do stuff on top of it. And then that's when I think Messenger a long time ago had like MVP or something like that internally, and there was a big whatever. But as soon as they went past just messaging, right, and they became platforms and they wanted to do more stuff, I think that's the challenge. Is that it's still such a rapidly advancing field. Initially, it was messaging and SMS and things like that, but we are like 100 miles an hour right now going ahead. So I think that's the main challenge.
Well, I think the new HTTP is Bluetooth. If we consider now the connection, for instance, to the wearables, we do have some of the system that they have an iOS system in Pocket and maybe an iOS watch. So Bluetooth is something which is quite open, which is very standardized on a lower level, but on this higher level part, which is pretty well known, pretty established in a way. You may have an Android phone and an iOS watch, and I think that the Bluetooth protocol also, we continue that the smartphone is more and more a new server, and this is a new client, for instance. So Bluetooth is something where I'm really seeing as a good neutral protocol on a much lower level.
We are talking about platforms, and we are talking about apps. We're also talking about the future of IoT, also which iMessage kind of message system. When we're talking about ecosystem, I think a lot of the company they are playing very, very important role in this game. Here we have Facebook, we also have and also we make standard. From standard aspect, we like have some low level protocol. Below HTTP. Do you guys in your company have this kind of design or some idea on this kind of new protocol?
We should ask.
No excuses this time.
This is the opposite problem. I wasn't ready. I'm ready. I know at Facebook, we definitely, I've tried to control the protocol because there's lots of advances still being made, and we know that HTTP, for example, is not the best platform when you're dealing with mobile networks. The time to set up a new connection on a slow 2G network is seconds. That's terrible for user experience when they're expecting, they open the app, they don't want to sit there. It's crazy that we think of seconds as like a terribly long time, but for interaction, seconds is a really big deal. So I know we definitely focus on that, but I think since, again, I'm not sure where this, I know HTTP2 is important and they're doing a lot of that, but even that we're learning while it works for one set of problems, it doesn't work as well for another set of problems. So there's still a lot of rapid advancements to really figure out. I don't know if anyone has a new, HTTP2 is kind of out there and it's kind of the new thing, but people aren't really super excited to move on to it because there's not a lot of huge benefits for most people. Connections have gotten faster and it doesn't work as well on the lower ends networks and stuff like that where bandwidth is not really the issue, it's the connection time and things like that.
I would just add, I guess, a little bit to that. Something that you guys were talking about earlier is sort of the offline experience and looking at things offline first with intermittent networks. So I don't know. I think people are doing a lot of work right now in terms of how we deal with that, not necessarily the protocols that we're actually transmitting data on, but how we deal with offline and how we deal with the user experience in challenging network environments and things like that. We do a ton of that because people are inside of buildings or in lines or on roller coasters and all kinds of things. So we've approached that, I guess, a little bit differently. We've approached it as trying to queue things up or trying to let the app not bother the user as much as possible and just kind of go forward, and the next time the network is available and is good enough, go ahead and use it in that manner. So I think there's a lot going on that side of it. I'm not sure so much how much in terms of next generation protocols, CD and HTTP2 and those things.
I think one protocol that is a little bit tangential to that I'm very excited about is like Bitcoin and this kind of like all the blockchain technology, because I think this is like an area where we didn't have like good standardized protocols, right? And I think Bitcoin is a start, but what I'm more excited about is like in the real